What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's time that we spend a little time back on the tow mower today. So we'll pick up right where we left off. What I've got laid out here are at least that part that arrived. That part we got last time, and then a couple things I had around the shop here. So the plan is to mount the fuel pump in its, what I would call its typical location. Normally it would go right up here about like so, and unfortunately this flywheel cover shroud doesn't have the normal mounting locations that some of these do. Some of them used a bracket, and then some just had two holes drilled in the plastic and then kind of some plastic clips. I think that's the route we're going to go. We'll drill our own holes and then just dig out some clips out of my selection. So all we've got to do is take the fuel line that came on the tank, and I want to make sure it's going to run high enough here so it's not pinched. So if you kind of look there where the engine's going to go, it kind of wants to pinch, and if I go up and over the filter, it also kind of pinches, so we got to make our own. I don't want to be in the way of the throttle, and if I go down, I'm just kind of nervous when that mounts flat on the mower that it's going to cause issue, but in either case, we can always take the oil filter off later and readjust that line. I don't think the line's going to determine where the pump goes. The pump's going to kind of determine where the line goes. So anyway, then I've also got a pump that I tore off another engine, and I've got this kind of U-shaped line that we're going to end up cutting, I'm guessing, to a 90-degree turn. This will go back down to the carburetor, and if it's too short, we'll just go a standard 1/4-inch fuel line. So I bought this dipstick tube, which has the barb to run a pump, and it even came with a line on it and a voltage regulator. We don't need this because I think ours is built in. I need to look into that to be sure. I guess there's a chance we'll use it, but I'm pretty sure ours is built in. We'll find out. So I've got that just in case. And then, what else was there? Oh, our pulley. We're going to go ahead and get that mounted up in the right position before we mount the engine today. And there's a chance, if we have time, we'll jump start the engine and get to hear it run. So I better set you up and get to work here. Okay, I had to take a quick trip back to the drawing board and see how this was originally done. So I had forgotten there's a little bracket down here that would normally hold the fuel line, but in our case that's where the oil filter is. So we're going to do something a little different there, but in either case, the reason the line's not long enough is there's a filter in line and then a little extension to the inlet, which is on the right. Then our line coming from the dipstick tube is over top of that, and it looks like just standard hose from outlet to carburetor. So give me a second, I'll round up some parts and show you the finished product on that. Here's what I came up with. So here's the original line from the dipstick tube, and then I had this short original Briggs filter and fuel line extension with the 90 built into it, so that was perfect. I drilled two small holes and put two clips in to hold the pump, and then I'm going to wait on our supply line coming from the tank because I want to set this on the mower and see if it's going to be okay running under here. If so, that would be awesome, but if not, we'll figure it out. And then we're just going to end up running that right into the filter, so we'll cut a little bit off, or if we need to go a different route, we'll find out. So let's head out to the mower. What I want to do out here before setting the engine on is just kind of take a look at the pulley system, make sure our belt looks okay. The last I remember it did, but it'll be a lot easier to deal with now if it needs anything. So let's just take a look here. We have a tensioner pulley. It seems to be totally stuck, so we're going to need to spray that and let it soak a while. But our blade over here turns fine. The belt's actually kind of stuck in the pulley. It's been sitting in the same spot for so long. Wow. There we go. That's gonna have to run a while to... Oh boy. I don't know. I think we should probably put a belt on this thing. That doesn't look so good from sitting in the same spot that long. So I'll get a belt. They've probably got it locally, so there's going to be no weight on that. This blade turns fine. Let's get this cover off and see what's underneath. Not much of anything under there, other than a nice way to get in here and deal with the tensioner system if there was ever an issue. I'm going to pull the handle and see if it moves. No, it doesn't. So we're going to need to spray things down, let them soak a while. I'll get a belt on the way, and we'll see how things do in an hour or two. So, a little update. I sprayed everything down. It's not moving yet, but I'm waiting on a belt. I did end up ordering a new belt. It won't be here until tomorrow, and so I don't want to wait that long. I want to hear this thing run, and I know you guys do too. So I've got it clamped down just for a temporary fix. I put oil in it, put probably a pint of gas in or something like that. I got the battery ready to go, and I didn't bring a way out to kill it, but that's okay. We'll either jumper a wire to ground or we will pull the spark plug wire, I don't know. So, let's do it. Let's give it a run. Here's kind of a look at the setup. We'll see how my motor clamp does. I'm grounded to the clamp, over to the battery. I've got kind of a sacrificial bolt here. Reason being is I don't like jumping right on the starter because it galls that all up. It arcs it up with sparks, and it can damage the threads or damage the nuts or whatever. So I also don't want to do that to the battery for the same reason. So I'm just going to touch this bolt for jumping. One other thing we need to do is come over and manually choke it, because we don't have our throttle cable yet, obviously. So all the way, you can see all the way forward, pushes on the choke, and then back from that a little ways will be full throttle, all the way down will be idle. And normally that would kill it, but in our case, I don't think it will, because I think we unhooked the coil wire, which used to go right here. Oh well, we'll find out. So I need to bring the battery over closer so I can operate this with two hands, and I'll set you up. We'll see what happens. Hopefully that view is okay for you. Can't see what I'm looking at. It's going to take a little while for us to get some gas. So here goes nothing. Immediately, we had gas in the filter, so I love that. sure what the miss at idle is. Maybe it'll come out of that as it runs a little longer. Needle nose, and we can yank that plug wire. That is wonderful. How about that? Started right up, as close to starting right up as it can without having any gas for the first few seconds. And other than that little kind of miss at idle, which I think will improve, keep in mind this thing ran basically on what I'm going to call on one valve, barely. It came in, I should have shown you the old camshaft, but I think I've thrown it away. The camshaft lobes were basically round to the point where the intake valve, I think it was the intake, wasn't even opening, but it was still running somehow, so that was crazy. So what we'll probably do is once we get it all mounted up and in good shape, we'll do kind of a decarbonizing procedure on it. It still has the same spark plug in it, if I remember right. So we'll give it kind of a general tune-up. We might even change the oil again now that it's run, or we'll let it run for longer with that new camshaft in it, but man, I'm pleased. That's excellent. So, as I said, a new belt is coming for this. I am a little nervous about our tensioner pulley, whether it's going to be usable or not. I don't know. At the worst, we might have to order one. But I'm just glad that the blades and the spindles and everything are okay as far as that goes. For tires, I almost forgot to mention, I looked up tires at my local Tractor Supply. They're getting $50 a piece for a 15x6-6. So what I think I'm going to do is I've got this Ranch King Pro, which I believe has a 15x6 on it. And I'm not certain whether the rims are the same. It'd be nice to not have to deal with swapping the tires over. But this has two pretty good tires that appear to hold air. And this mower is kind of a donor mower. I'm actually taking the engine off of it to use on another project for a future series. And so it's got drive issues. It eats a drive belt every other week. The hood's all busted up. It's not good for a whole lot. So I'm planning to use those tires, maybe those rims and tires, on our tow mower. And so I might end up getting that done off camera here while we're waiting for the belt. But other than that, we've got a little wiring to do, which is no big deal. I might do a video on that. Actually, I will do a video on that. That might be our final deal. I can get this pulley and belt knocked out, get the engine mounted, and then the next video will be wiring it up and hopefully kicking on the blades and using it for the first time. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching to this point. Appreciate all the views and comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.